Good afternoon, everybody. I am filling in for Commissioner Chung. I am the Vice Chair, Dr. John Novak, and I'd like to bring this meeting to order. There we go. And we're going to start off with a roll call and determine quorum.
Chair Jung is absent. Dr. Novak?
Here.
Oscar Delgado? Here. Dr. Hess? Here. Christopher Dare is absent. Michael Brown?
Here.
Tom Young is absent, and we have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Hess, can you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Okay. I'm sorry, do we have any public comment? Good, thank you very much. Next thing is the agenda. Do we have any changes or additions to the agenda? Hearing none.
Make a motion to accept. Second.
Second, Mr. Brown, Mr. Delgado, and we all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, good. Mr. Health Officer.
Thank you, Dr. Novak. I'd like to now move to recognitions, and we'll begin with years of service, and I'd like to recognize Molly Diaz for 15 years of service. So Molly, if you could please stand up and be recognized. So thank you very much for all your years of service. And for all the recognitions, please stick around because we'll take pictures with the board once we recognize everybody. Is Will Lumpkin here? I don't see Will. Will is with our vector control program, and this is kind of a busy time of season for them, but I want to congratulate Will on 10 years of service with the health district. We have a couple of new hires. We have in Environmental Health Services, Catherine Sullivan, who's an Office Assistant 2. And Mr. Weston, could I ask you to make an introduction for Catherine? And
Dangerous thing.
Chad West for the record. This is Kathy Sullivan. She joined us from elsewhere in the county and was an asset, and we're just pleased to have her. She's had a good first week up at the front counter, had a number of customers to meet with and really see how things operate, but she's been doing very well and is coming up to speed very nicely.
Good. Welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you.
Welcome.
And in air quality, we have Kelly Parsons, who's Office Assistant 2 there. And I'd like to ask Mr. Inouye if he could make an introduction.
Good afternoon. Got it?
Thanks, son.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the board. For the record, Daniel Inouye, Monitoring and Planning Branch Chief of Air Quality Management. I'm very pleased to introduce our newest member of the Air Quality Management team, Ms. Kelly Parsons. She's an Office Assistant 2. She's originally from California, but moved over the hill and graduated from Reed High School. Kelly earned her Bachelor of Science at, oops.
Good job.
Okay. Kelly earned her Bachelor of Science in Business Management from UNR, and I'm also excited to kind of share a statistic with you. Of the 19 employees that we have within air quality management, 14 are UNR graduates, and that includes 4 with advanced degrees. Kelly began her career with Washoe County in 2015 with Human Services in Child Protective Services. In addition to her duties as office assistant, she often transported foster children around the county. Kelly's been with us since July 23rd, this past Monday. Very pleased to have her, and please welcome Ms. Kelly Parsons.
Thank you. Welcome.
Stick around, we'll get pictures. We have a reassignment within the health district, and that's Jessica Corbalis, who's was with Community and Clinical Health Services, and now she has moved over to Air Quality Management. And so, Jessica, if you could also stand, and we'll get a picture with you as well. So, congratulations on your new position. We have a couple of resignations. We have Jan Hauk, who's a public health nurse too in CCHS, and she has resigned to take a full-time position at the school district as a school nurse, but I was pleased to discover earlier today she's going to continue working with us as an intermittent hourly employee as well. So, but I don't believe Jan is here today. Then we also have Ruth Soto Castillo, who's a community health aide in our also in CCHS. I should have mentioned Jan Hauk had 22 years of service with the health district. Ruth has 12 years, and I don't think Ruth is here today either. And then I'd like to move along to our Shining Star Award. And as I've explained to the board, this is an award for exceptional customer service or performance in the health district that comes from nominations either from external customers or staff. And so I wanted to once again recognize Carmen Mendoza. Carmen, if you could stand and be recognized. Actually, when we put Carmen on the agenda, she had her 9th Shining Star recognition, but I believe it's at 10 as of today. So, and Carmen is in our Vital Records program, and of course, that's one where we have a history of having people that aren't as satisfied as they might be if things don't, if they're not exactly the right person for getting a birth or a death certificate. And I'm just very pleased with the performance we're getting from our Vitals program, both Carmen and her staff that have achieved these recognitions. So,
With people like this, you better be careful.
and that's what we've got for recognition. So if
Let's
we
go
could
down and take a picture, please.
Perfect.
Ladies, don't be shy. Nobody fights. Thank you very much.
One, two, three. We'll take a couple. Okay.
Thank you very much.
We promised everybody to put out last night, too.
All right. One, two, three.
Thank you very much. Nice to have you with us.
I am very excited.
Good, busy section.
All right. One, two, three. More.
Good, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
One, two, three.
Boy, we're almost down to file photos now. Well, congratulations, everybody. This is always a good part of the program. Anybody else in the back want a picture? We can get those too, so. Okay, next item on the agenda is a consent agenda. Anybody want to pull any items? There is one I would like to ask a question about, and more of a question, and this is number E. This is Mr. Anaway. This has to do with some of the permits or penalties and stuff for dust. And I was looking through those the other night, and our penalties are $500 or something for dust. I can see why these people are doing this. The rental on a water truck and stuff is a whole lot more than once in a while if they get caught with dust. And I'd like to see a discussion maybe in your department about this, that maybe we should consider the fines on these. Because that's, to me, if I was a contractor, heck, if I get fined once a summer, I'm better off than keeping logs or keeping a water truck. So if you guys don't mind, I would appreciate looking into it.
Okay, yes, thank you. Is that, Mr. Chair, is that item F?
Well,
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I think it
6F?
is. The 2 citations.
And perhaps I could address this one.
Yes,
Dr.
please, go right
Novak.
ahead.
So, I believe you hit the nail on the head, and we just, those were the fines that we just adjusted, and these two citations and the negotiated settlements with them went with the previous fine schedule that we had. So these should be the last dust enforcement cases where you see these old fine figures, and we've got the new fines that we just raised to deal with exactly that issue.
Nice job, Daniel. That's the response we needed.
got it.
Thank you, Mr. Health Officer. If no other comments or anything else, the consent agenda, do I have a motion to approve it?
So moved.
So moved. Dr. Hess?
Second?
Mr. Delgado, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Good, thank you very much. And let's see, now we're going to move on. That's why I called you up here anyway. You have number 7. We're going to discuss the presentations and possible adoption of the Warsaw County portion of the Nevada State Implementation Plan to meet the Ozone Infrastructure SIP requirements for Clean Air Act section. That's the only time I can repeat that.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Daniel Inoue, I'm Monitoring and Planning Branch Chief for Air Quality Management. The Environmental Protection Agency establishes health-based standards for 6 pollutants, including ozone. Clean Air Act requires state and local air quality management agencies to demonstrate that they have the authority and resources to implement, maintain, and enforce these air quality standards. This ozone infrastructure plan is a demonstration of those requirements. If adopted, this infrastructure plan will be submitted through the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection to EPA as a revision to the Washoe County portion of the Nevada Ozone State Implementation Plan. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available for questions.
Any questions? We need to vote on this?
Point of order? It's
Yes, go right ahead.
It's a public hearing, so we'll have to open up the.
Yeah, okay. Any comments? Public hearing? Oh, okay. I am opening for public comments.
Public hearing.
Public hearings, I'm sorry, public comment. Seeing none, close that. And do we have a motion to accept this?
Also move.
Okay, Mr. S. Mr. Brown seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Very good.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chair.
sir.
And, excuse me, Mr. Inouye, are we good with acceptance, or, I know this is one that we have to make sure that we have EPA happy in the end with this. Do we need to say adopt, or?
Correct. The action should be adopt.
Okay. You want to amend that to say adopt?
Yes, I will, I move that we adopt. Now, wait a minute, I put it away here.
Sorry, boss.
I move to adopt the Washoe County portion of the Nevada State Implementation Plan to meet the ozone infrastructure SIP requirements of the clean air section. Would that be sufficient? Okay.
Good. Everybody's happy? Okay, second. All in favor of the adoption?
Aye.
Aye. Still carried. Okay, very good.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, next on the J.W. Hodge.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. J.W. Hodge, Chief Operating Officer for the record. Before requesting your approval on the board, I'd like to point out an individual today that plays a significant role in preparing this report for you every month. Kenny Kitts back here has been with REMSA for 25 years this month. So I'd just like to pay some respect to the gentleman that actually puts all the work and numbers and data into this report for you each month. So
Nice job. Thank you.
thank you. You've all received a copy of our June report, and I'm here to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions?
No questions, I'll move to accept this. Second.
Second. Mr. Brown, Mr. Delgado, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we need to open that for public comment?
It is an action item if there is public comment.
Okay.
That would be
Is there any public comment on this? Seeing none, hearing none, close public comment. We've already voted. All in favor? Passed.
Aye.
For item 8B, I have a few highlights for you from our PR report. With some very high temperatures throughout the month of June and July, we've spent a lot of time going out to the media and reaching out and providing some tips and tricks. Mr. Hines, sitting back here, has spent a majority of his afternoons on TV talking about how to stay safe in the heat, so we appreciate that. Earlier this month, we installed new technology that allows our REMSA website to be translated into 100 different languages, so our website is accessible to 100 different languages now. We've also added a pop-up feature on our career section, which allows potential applicants to complete very short form and get in touch with HR for a job. I know Councilman Dare last time had questions about how are we recruiting and reaching out, so that's a new tool we've implemented for that. And then next week, just so everyone knows, we're launching our internal employee survey. So we're gonna run it for 2 weeks and get back to our employees with the kind of the climate and what our process is for moving forward. Other than that, we have no other updates than what you received in your report already.
Any questions for him? Not, thank you very much.
Thank you all very
From
much.
our action item. Okay, moving on to number 9, consideration of possible adoption of the policy for environmental health services, EHS, and air quality management fee relief and/or mitigation for entities affected by disasters and emergencies. Mr. Dick.
Thank you. I put together this staff report as a follow-up to action that we took during or following the flooding that occurred up in Lemon Valley, in which we made a decision to not collect fees for some of the properties and residents up there that had been impacted by the flood. At that point, it was requested of me that I bring back a policy for the board to consider regarding how the health district should deal with any fee relief or mitigation in the event of disasters or emergencies. And after thinking it over for a little while, I put this together to summarize the policy. It's basically that we would not provide any relief or mitigation for our fees unless the jurisdiction in which the property or business was located had agreed to reimburse the health district, or in the event that some other third party was willing to reimburse the health district for that fee. So part of the consideration on that is that, I think what we had in Lemon Valley was, certainly a disaster and a tragedy for those residents, was one that was fairly restricted as to the location and the extent of it. We could end up with region-wide disasters, if we had a major earthquake, for instance, which would be well beyond any of our capability to effectively mitigate. And I think the other reasoning that I had is that we're currently getting our funding support through a Washoe County General Fund transfer. And depending on where the properties are actually impacted, this is kind of above and beyond the scope of the health district responsibilities. And that's why I proposed that it be a reimbursement from the affected jurisdiction.
Any questions? Comments?
Actually, I just a question. how much are these fees if they're imposed? Because, if they're a few $100s, that seems very reasonable to go ahead and charge them, but if they're several $1,000s and somebody's house has just been destroyed by a flood or an earthquake or a river, then I think maybe we should mitigate.
Well, some of our fees are several $1,000s for septic systems.
Yeah.
I think we're talking, less than that for some of the abandonment type stuff, but we have a range of different fees.
Any other comments? Yes, sir, Mr. Delgado.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, along with those comments, the assumption that maybe, hopefully, a homeowner or someone has insurance, and some of these things can be plugged in. I'm trying to be thoughtful for some of those folks that may not have the coverage, but then we're further putting them in a hardship position of either then are they then tax liened on their property, and then that becomes an issue, and then that leads to them having to leave their home, and there's that cycle there. I mean, I'd hate for us all of a sudden just to say no help unless you get support from your jurisdiction. In terms of overall hardship, I don't know if there's even a process from which somebody can go through the process to make sure that is that something that's viable for a short term, and knowing that there's an end road in terms of getting there. But I feel like this is pretty cut and dry, and I'd hate for someone in a situation that either through their insurance or other means is now put in a position where their property is liened because they haven't paid for something, and now they can be homeless within a short amount of time. And I don't know if you have the answers to that, but I'm just kind of thinking through the process here of what that may look like.
Any comment? Okay. I do have a question with what you two just brought up. With Mr. Dick's comments about we really survive on a healthy part of our budget from the county budget. Is that something that we may need to look at a policy between our groups? I, in a lot of ways, agree with what's written here as a policy, because that'll, curtail a lot of these individuals, and could be thousands of individuals. Depends on the size of, Lemon Valley was a pocket of so many houses, it could be the whole end of town. So I think to a certain extent, I'd kind of like to table this, and as far as I'm concerned, put this back for a little more thought on the county's reaction. Is there a mechanism that they can appeal? Mm-hmm. I know that theoretically, they can always come to the different boards involved like this one on an individual basis. But I don't want to start a precedence where we have to take another annex outside the building because we have people lined up at the door. So I think that's a precedence we may want to think through.
Sure.
Yeah.
There may be benchmarks as to what that looks like, or an assessment of sorts. But I mean, just trying to think through this a little bit more. I think ultimately we all understand the ultimate impact on the community once someone is now homeless from where they once were, to get them back into a house situation. And so that's what we want to prevent. And if there's opportunities to assess, better for not to make it seem as though it's an expectation, but when people are in a hardship situation and there's a short-term support, and the assessments can be, making sure that their insurances are up to par, and those are covered and tapped into first, and so on and so forth. We're the last resort. But maybe that's something we can table, and we can have maybe conversations outside of the dais and work with staff in terms of what their thoughts are with the process.
Is that agreeable?
Yeah, that's certainly
to relook at that.
Agreeable to me, and I guess
let's see what the county and stuff has to say about it.
Yeah, and to follow up on Councilman Delgado's comment, I would welcome any suggestions or ideas from board members to consider incorporation into a policy.
So I'd like to make a motion that we table this for further investigation and process. Have a second?
Second.
Second, okay. Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
On something, when we had, this is a procedural matter, when we table something like this, do we need to go on with public comment at this point, since we're not voting on it? Okay, let's do that first. No public comment, good, that makes that an easier point. Then close public comment, moving on with that to table that for further investigation. Thank you very much. Okay, now going to staff reports. We have Mr. Inouye.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. For the record, Daniel Inouye, Monitoring and Planning Branch Chief with Air Quality Management. At your March board meeting, you approved Air Quality Management's commitment to the Wildland Fire Air Quality Response Program. Since that time, Ms. Julie Hunter has been trained as an air resource advisor, and she has been deployed to wildfires in New Mexico and Colorado. Ms. Hunter will provide you a brief presentation on her experience as an air resource advisor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Hi, my name is Julie Hunter, for the record, a Senior Air Quality Specialist with the Washoe County Health District Air Quality Management Division. And today I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what it's like to be an Air Resource Advisor and talk to you about my assignments on the Ute fire, which was in New Mexico, and the 416 fire in Colorado. This is a shot of the 416 fire in Colorado. An ARA is a part of the Wildland Fire Air Quality Response Program, and this is led by the USDA, U.S. Forest Service. This program was developed to assess, communicate, and address smoke risks from massive wildfire incidents. There's 4 components to this program, and that is trained personnel, which is an air resource advisor, air quality monitoring, air quality modeling, and coordination and cooperation with all members that are dealing with this incident. As an air resource advisor, we use the air quality monitoring and modeling tools and equipment to analyze and predict smoke impacts. And then we communicate these impacts to incident command, local agencies, as well as the public. So for monitoring, what we do is we deploy these instruments that you see, the picture of the instrument right there. It's called an E-sampler, and this measures PM 2.5, also known as fine particulate matter. This is the small particulate matter that gets deep into your lungs, and it's the major component of wildfire smoke. This instrument then uses cellular satellite service to populate the data and send it to maps that you see, a couple examples shown there. And it will display the air quality index, and these maps are available to the public. So the top map is showing you where the instruments were deployed in Colorado, and we strategically place these depending on where the fire is and then what communities are impacted. The monitor that you're seeing right there is actually the red dot in the middle is where this monitor is, and that was at Incident Command. Then we use modeling tools, and shown here is an example of a blue sky smoke modeling tool. These modeling tools use fire activity and detected fires to determine daily smoke impacts. ARAs are also part of the incident command. We usually work in the planning section, so we get to work really closely daily with the IMET, with the incident meteorologist, the FBAN, which is the fire behavior analyst. Not up here is the LTAN, the long-term analyst, GIS section. So we're all huddled in this group together, so we're able to feed off of each other's models to better understand daily fire activity and smoke impacts. And we also talk to the operations section, including the ground ops and air ops, to determine what's really going on the ground. So using these modeling tools and the monitoring instruments, we provide the previous air quality index as well as a forecasted air quality index for the communities that are impacted. And this Outlook product that you see is actually specific to the ARA program. It's a software that we input daily, and it's populated with the air quality monitoring instruments that we have out in the field. It's a little small, but you can see as part of this product, we talk a little bit about fire behavior, smoke impacts, and that last section is a special statement. In this case, we did talk about if people should wear masks. It was getting really bad in the locations south of the 416 fire, so we talked about masks. That's just one example. And so we provide all of our air quality information on trap lines. These are provided in the communities surrounding the fire. We attend public meetings. We attend disaster relief events. Sometimes we were attending the emergency operation meeting. And then nightly, we were providing all of this information to Incident Command. So the success of ARA really depends on the coordination and the cooperation of the whole team. incident command, including the public information officer, logistics chief. We work really closely with them on who we should talk to in the public, as well as the planning section that I mentioned earlier, the IMAT, the FBAN, the LTAN. In fact, this is a picture here of our team. Long hours, it's just nonstop. You get really close with these folks, so you really get to know everybody. So great team to work with, but we also work really close with the state and local agencies, including all the public health departments, getting the same consistent messaging out, as well as the Emergency Operations Center in the local communities. Several benefits that I can bring as an ARA back to Air Quality Management Division, and that is, I think I had a really great experience working in the Incident Command and learning how that process works. Also, taking all of these modeling tools back to the office, and we are using them here locally for local impacts and fires that are impacting our areas. We've also looked at the Outlook products and tried to incorporate some of that messaging into our air quality messaging. Also got me a little bit more hands-on into deploying these monitoring instruments. Again, consistent messaging is really important throughout the nation on how to deal with smoke impacts. It also benefits us in supporting and supplementing our planning documents, such as the exceptional events demonstration, the mitigation plan, and our smoke management program. So I know that was really quick and high level, but with that, I'd like to, for the record, thank Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District, who I don't think anybody's in the room from Fire Protection District.
There he is.
Sure, thank you. I want to thank Chief Moore for sponsoring me, and Captain Bunn they went out of their way to help me every step of the way. Even Captain Bunn on the incident was making sure I was okay. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I want to thank the division. I want to thank Dan and Charlene for supporting me and taking on this role, and you, the Board of Health, for approving and supporting my role as an ARA. So hopefully I can get back out there again, as there's quite a bit of wildfire going on right now. So with that, take any questions or entertain any discussion. Thank you.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
I'm curious, since we've got a big fire to the south and another big fire, I guess, in northern California too, and it's a bit smoky around here. Based on, I'm curious, do you have predictions, for here that, as to what will happen over the next 5-10 days?
Smoke impacts are going to be great, especially with the Carr Fire, which just went from 4,500 acres to 20,000 acres overnight. That's in Redding, so they're evacuating Redding. So what's happening too right now is you've got the complex fires in the northwest portion of California and the southwest portion of Oregon. And if you remember in 2015, all of those fires were swirling together, and with whatever was going on in California, and it all just happens to just come our way. If you look at some of the modeling, we're getting smoke impacts from Oregon, the Redding fire, as well as the Ferguson fire, which is down south.
So,
and there is also another fire down just below the Ferguson fire that just broke out yesterday too. So it's not looking good. And consistent messaging of staying indoors, keeping your air conditioner on, protecting yourself from smoke, not running when smoke impacts, not running, exercising any heavy exercise is kind of our consistent messaging. So using our air quality monitoring and our huddling in the office as to how we can protect the community is kind of what we're doing daily.
great, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
I just want to say, this is a big position that we have for Washoe County, especially when it comes to air quality control, and not only just during our fire season. Julie's been working with a lot of the different land managers for several years, but we will see more prescribed fires in the future because it's a way for us to reduce our fire fuel loading, both in the desert and the forest. And Julie's been a big part of that with the planning processes, and she still continues to work with them. And I got to say, she's one of the leaders out there helping them in that direction, and that's helping all the agencies, whether it's the federal agencies, the local agencies, or just the counties. It's a great job, and I'm really glad that you're on that team, and I hope they let you stay there because we need those positions. So it's nice to see that taking place. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Nice comment from somebody that's got lots of experience out there. Good. Anything else? Okay, very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Cutts.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the Board of Health. Steve Cutts, Division Director for CCHS. For the record, just a couple of quick updates in relation to my CCHS report this month. The first one being with the changes to CCHS programs. Just wanted to further comment on that a little bit, that We've been doing what we can with the limited resources in our various programs. This has been a difficult change to make, especially in relation to our maternal child health program. And while we know that the program is important, we needed to make the changes to best serve the whole community and to do what's best for the division as a whole. Just wanted to reiterate that as part of the quality improvement process, that of Plan, Do, Check, Act, that we will evaluate the changes that we're making and we'll assess the impact to staff, programs, as well as the community. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions on that part. And then I just wanted to do a little update on our family planning program and our partnership with the Washoe County Sheriff's Office.
Any questions at this point? Okay, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. So I just want to let you know that we did, since the report was produced, we did have our second outing up to the Washoe County Sheriff's Office, the detention facility. So our partnership continues to go very well. We served about 10 women, if I recall, at the last visit there. We're very excited about it. The Sheriff's Office staff is fantastic to work with, very excited about this. And most importantly, the women that we're serving and providing the long-acting reversible contraceptives are incredibly receptive, very, very appreciative, very excited for this opportunity that we're presenting them. So I just wanted to share that, that bit of good news with you. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have for me regarding my report.
Any questions, comments? Okay, here now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Westham, you're on.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board, Chad Westham, Environmental Health Director for the record. Just a couple updates beyond your report. Regarding community development, we have worked very hard and the team has been successful in streamlining and prioritizing our health plan review processes, and we have them all down to a week or less as posted on our website. That it will help with the different challenges with community development in the county. In the June Board of Health meeting, after we presented on a mosquito prevention program with the vector program, Chairperson Jung requested we approach the Washoe County Board of County Commissioners regarding $180,000 more of additional funding for vector larviciding, and I believe Health Officer Kevin Dick has some information on that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Westham. I wanted to inform the board as far as requesting additional funds for mosquito abatement. We're very pleased that, and you saw the financial report from June, that we ended last fiscal year well in the black while we were anticipating a deficit spending year for the health district. Because of that, my intention is to go ahead and support our mosquito abatement needs with health fund dollars versus going to the Board of County Commissioners for additional fund transfer at this point. So I just wanted to make the board aware of that approach and that we'll be looking at the healthy ending fund balance that we had, and also identifying and proposing to the board that we use some of those funds for one-time investments in the health district and in the community's health. So that's how I'll proceed on supporting our mosquito abatement at this point.
Good. Thank you.
So if there's any questions or comments on environmental health, I'd be happy to answer those.
Any questions, comments? Hearing none. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. Not seeing Dr. Todd, but do you have a comment for him?
No, but I will happily answer any questions for him or bring them back to him if you have any on the division update.
Okay. Questions, comments? Wonderful report. Thank you very much.
I do my part.
Okay, moving right along to Mr. Health Officer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to also make a couple of comments on the plan review. Wanted to thank several of our board members who participated in the meeting with City of Reno on the funding through Enterprise Fund for additional staffing. So thank you to Councilman Delgado for helping to get that organized, and Chief Brown and Dr. Novak. We're continuing to work to move forward for that arrangement. And then also wanted to comment that we're continuing to work with NDEP and TUMWA on the interlocal agreement to be able to have the alternative oversight. So spent several hours the other day. I think we're getting fairly close with that agreement to be able to move it forward. Also wanted to announce, and hopefully each of the board members, you received notification of a unveiling event that we'll have here at the county chambers next Thursday, August 2nd, for the community health improvement plan, to present that to the community. The Carson City Health and Human Services just on July 19th had their community health improvement plan approved by their board. So they're actually going to join us for that event, and we'll take that opportunity to inform about what they're doing down in Carson City as well. And I think that there are some areas that we have in common that we're working on that might provide some opportunities.
Will that be held here?
That will be held here, 9:30 to 11:30.
Good.
And we'll have a number of our community partners presenting in that as well. And then yesterday afternoon, we had a family health festival at Miguel Rivera Park with Truckee Meadows Healthy Communities and a number of our partners. Community Health Alliance was part of that, and was quite successful. I don't have the final statistics on that, but a guesstimate that I heard was close to 500 individuals, and that our immunization program was just about at capacity there. I know we had Renown and Community Health Alliance involved in BMI and blood pressure screening. We had skin cancer screening, Healthy Smiles, and a bunch of back-to-school education material distribution and those types of things. So we'll be planning another event October, November timeframe, but I just wanted to give you kind of the latest on what happened yesterday afternoon.
So you want to talk about the accreditation?
I will if you'd like.
I would.
Okay. We're continuing to charge on public health accreditation, and so we're still on track for hitting the button of all of our document submittals to FAB on October 1st. So we've got 200 of, I think we're actually, I think we're over 200 now. I know we are, but I don't know exactly what the number is, of the documents that we've got submitted, and they're under review. The remaining documents that have not been submitted, it's because there's in progress. We're awaiting a data point to be able to complete those. So it's not that we're behind schedule on those, but it's because the plan development is that it will be occurring after this date. But we are on track to make that October 1st date. Then after that, we expect a site visit within about 6 months for the accreditation. I had the opportunity to see Carol Morley, who was part of our fundamental review team that did our review back in 2013, 2014. She was at the NACHO conference that I attended in July, and was fun to catch up with her and talk about the progress that we've made, how useful that fundamental review was for us, and that they had proposed that we go down this path and do all the steps for accreditation and then consider whether we really wanted to apply. And she was delighted to hear that we had this moving forward.
Good. On a personal note, could I have an update before August 6th? We have our National NALBO board meeting and annual conference, and that is a major topic again this year. So if I could have kind of an update to take with me, I'd appreciate that.
All right, we'll give you something in hard copy to take with
Yes,
you. And
please.
then I'd ask Ms. Rogers if perhaps you could find a time to schedule for Katrina Peters and myself to be able to meet with Dr. Novak, either personally or by phone, to go over with it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And that concludes my report. I'd be happy to
Do you have one other
take any
issue?
questions, or
Do you want the fire issue?
I was just going to leave it in my report.
Okay.
We can bring it up as agendized item. We can agendize it for the next
Okay.
meeting.
Did you want me to
bring that up?
Yeah, we can do it under new meetings.
Okay. Okay, good.
Excuse me, is there any more information than in your report on the REMSA?
I included this in my report because I wanted to make the board members aware. But the information that I have is that there was the item that I included that was on the Reno agenda, it was pulled, and that there was this correspondence that I included that came from REMSA to the city of Reno.
Right, but I guess pull doesn't mean it won't be there next week or something. So I'm just wondering, it seems to me it should be dead and gone, but I don't.
It's not agendized.
You want to bring that up?
You know, Dr. Hess, I know under the agenda, it's just information from the district health officer on his report. I would make a proposal when we start looking at our agendas for upcoming meetings that in September we get this agendized, allowing the parties to actually come forward and discuss with the board, educate the board on what their stances are on this program.
Okay.
You want to make that as a moving on to the board comments and agenda items, would you like to make a motion now?
You need a motion.
Okay,
Just a request.
so we agendize that for September meeting, please. Any other comments for the board members? Hearing none. Big pardon?
We do have
Do we not have a
we
meeting
do
in
have
August?
we do have an August meeting as well.
I won't be here.
Oh, you won't be
Several
here.
people
Okay.
won't be here.
We'll do
We want to give
September.
plenty of
We'll do
time
September. Okay.
to do that. Okay, any public comment? Okay. Ms. Brandhorst? Public comment. Boy, that cleared the juice out.
My name is Kathy Brandhorst, and I'm still the United States President. I heard many women have been playing it to steal the money out of my bank accounts. A lot of my bank accounts are now zero. I just wanted to let you know, I recognize those pictures on Sky Mountain. And I was living on Sky Mountain inside my house. And the termites were really bad because somebody had to change my walls in that house. And they put the termites inside my house, of course, because they put the wood inside the house, so it would result into a lot of bitings on humans, and it would leave scars all over their faces and their bodies. So I just wanted to tell you, this person did not have the right to do this, but this person did. And I just wanted to tell you too, the problem is still going to exist because not only the termites, there were cockroaches too. The cockroaches was resulting as people do not clean. They do not clean their houses at all. Now, these people had no water, no running water. I tried to turn on the faucet. There was no running water for years. I mean, well, while they were living there, excuse me, I shouldn't say that. But while they were living there, they did not have running water at all. The poles and wires were taken down because they could not get no water. They could not get gas and electric to the house at all. So there was no way that they could get even phone service unless they would steal it from the neighbors, or water too. And I just wanted to tell you, you know, this is not the way to actually present ruining houses, ruining a place to live. And this is exactly what they did. They wanted to condemn my house. I live in a condemned apartment right now, but we are trying to save it. The condemned apartment was not sold, but the they're not new anymore. It was way back in a year and a half, almost 2 years now, that these people took over the apartment. They put the brand new walls in, they put the walls back up, the windows, etc.
Thank you very much. Hearing any other comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. So, all in favor? Go for it. Thank you. Thank you very much for everybody coming.
Good job, Chief.
Thank you. There you go. It's been tapped.